Welcome back, guys. We're back
Well,
again.
here we are. Apologies for the poor sound and a little bit poorer video quality, but this is the best we can do at the meantime until we've got the mics available to record some better stuff for you. Don't worry, there's some in the post on their way to us. So the other ones were left at work. So
Yeah, we're
so
not getting back into there anytime soon, so
no,
we've just got to make the best of what we've got at the moment. I think we should just start straight off, really, with. Actually, before we start off, I want to give a quick shout out to one of our big fans, Stimpy. So
Stimpy.
Stimpy, he's given us a few hate in the comments, but now he's found my Twitter and he's hitting me up on the Twitter saying how he loves the content, keep going. So just a quick shout out to Stimpy boy.
Yeah,
Keep
another
doing
one
what you're doing, mate. We love seeing your comments.
Yeah, another one of the guys off. He's a favourite off of Twitter. They got the favourite off Instagram, Mr. World Lamb. He's
Oh
always
yeah, him as
big,
well.
bigging us up on Instagram. Thanks to him always for sharing our stuff, and yeah, we're helping him through his quarantine apparently.
No, but to be fair, we're doing this. It's good, isn't it? Really, because a lot of people right now you can't do much, so it's good to just watch podcasts and stuff. No live tennis to watch, so I guess the next best thing is to look us, our ugly mugs on the live cam.
That's it, mate. And yeah, today I'm sporting some headphones just to prevent any feedback issues that we might be having. So yeah, yeah. But other than that, what have you been up to? You've been up to
Nah,
anything,
nothing big,
Simon?
to be honest. I've just been checking out the news, and I feel like we should start off. Probably the biggest news today is French Open's been postponed.
Postponed until September.
Yeah, which is it's just crazy to me. Like a lot of the players get out online because the news was broke through social media. It seems to me
Again.
the players did again, literally again. It seems to me the players what didn't know anything about until the announcement came. The ATP tour, WTA tour had no clue about it at all, and it's just like it seems to be a bit selfish to me. Like the organisers of these events, they seem to be keeping everything in reserve and kind of making these announcements on their own for their own best interest. When I feel like at the moment everyone needs to be putting together, there needs to be more accountability and openness for everyone to sort of know what's going on. It's not fair because it's their livelihood, and it's like it's just you can't really act like that. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't understand why they've just suddenly made the decision to shift it to September without really consulting any of the other tournaments. Like they're treading on people's toes left, right, and centre doing that, and they haven't really consulted anybody before doing it. They're,
Yeah,
what is it? They're a week. Isn't it finishing a week before the US Open?
it finished. It starts 6 days after the US
Oh,
Open final.
oh, it starts after the US Open.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
so
6 days after the US Open final. So potentially you're going to have to be playing the US Open final, and then if you reach in the final of that, there's a good chance you'd be likely to you'd be in good form to be playing into the
that
next one.
far
Yeah, but
last year.
you can't do it. Like it just I don't personally I don't think it's going to happen. I'm going to make the statement now. I just don't think it's going to happen. It's a very congested schedule as it is, and to be scheduling something when the Labour Cup's on as well, where people have already booked tickets for that, that's at full capacity. The players have already committed to that. Roger Federer, you're not going to not see him there. He's going to be back from his injury in that sort of time, and he's going to be looking to play in the Labour Cup, and of course he's never going to miss that. So does that mean he's now going to choose the Labour Cup over Roland Garros?
Well, exactly. I mean, look at all those other players as well. Not even just talking about the big players. Like some of those smaller players who are up and coming, who are probably hoping to maybe get wild cards into draws, stuff like that. Now they're apparently the French Open officials or whoever's organising it's completely disregarded anyone like that. Like apparently they don't really care about the lower ranked players being in it at all. So
It seems to me like it's been done in their own interest and not really taken much consideration or thought for anyone else. Yeah, it is bad to be fair. It's kind of like they all have like a power play against each other. Like they've made this big decision and they're not disregarding the fact that the Labour Cup's and the US Open 6 days before. It's just like logistically it doesn't work anyway because obviously, as you know now, the news is broke. There's going to be no tennis until June the 7th,
yeah,
which for me, it's just I don't. That's crazy, but it's got to be done. I'm completely. I think it's the best thing to do in the current circumstance we're in at the moment. There should not be tennis being played. As much as it pains me to say that, it's going to be a tough, long few months. But I'm sure we'll get through it. But then so you're going to miss all the clay court tournaments. So you've got the Madrid one. What's it? Rome, all of them ones. The clay court swing, all of them, all of these tournaments coming up. It's cancelled. That's a certain. They've then moved Roland Garros into a period where they're hard court tournaments. So you're telling me that they're going to be playing a hard court tournament, and then 6 days later they're going to go straight to Roland Garros. Come on, that doesn't make sense.
What's going to happen next? Like the virus continues, the time delayed continues, and then what? Do they move Wimbledon just after the French Open? So we have US Open, then next week French Open, next week Wimbledon.
No,
we do that?
You're joking, but you're going to see. I think we're going to see loads of tournaments being rescheduled and moved around,
which is fine if they do it sensibly. Don't just like throw it the week after the US Open. That's just on top of another tournament as well. Like, fit it in properly. If you're going to do it properly.
Well, the most interesting thing since this announcement is Labour Cup's come out on Twitter, because Twitter seems to be the place where everyone knows all this information. Yeah. Labour Cup's come out and they've said, oh, we're going to keep our tournament running as normal. Everything's staying the same. Don't worry about the people who book their tickets. If we are able to play the tournament and the virus permits, we're going to go ahead using the same scheduled dates. And them dates are the same ones will overlap with Roland Garros. So I don't know how it's going to work.
I have no idea, mate.
Yeah.
I think that someone's made a massive cock up somewhere, and by just thinking it's acceptable to just tread on everybody else's toes, just by throwing in what they thought was a free, well, it's not a free section of a free window for them to play there.
No, it just seems to be like they've looked at the calendar and they've gone, there. They've just literally, it's just random as hell.
They said, well, which one will we probably not lose the most big players, maybe? But they probably thought, yeah. And just like, does it matter if it's just after the US Open?
It's so bad. It is bad.
Like, who's in charge? I'd love to know who's the person who made that decision.
It'll be the organiser, right, of Roland Garros. I'm not sure how it works, but I'm pretty sure it'll just be the organiser of the event. They have the rights to be able to move the tournament, but like it's not happened before.
It must be pretty.
The thing we need to remember is we're in unprecedented times. There's nothing we can compare this to. The most comparable thing there is to this is a war.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I don't remember the war. I'm already young, so it's like I can't really have much comment.
Mate, I don't think we've ever. Well, it's the only thing we've seen in our lifetime like this, and just typical. It had to be the year when we've kicked off the podcast.
I'm saying it is funny. I feel like it would only happen to us two as well.
I know. I think there's been others people who have started their pods as well, probably this year. We're all facing the adversity, but hopefully there's light at the end of the tunnel somewhere. I'm hoping that light will be Wimbledon, and I'm hoping Wimbledon does not fall into the bracket of the cancellation.
So Wimbledon starts, what is it, the beginning of July?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
End of June, beginning of July time. I'll be honest with you, it's not going to happen, is it?
It's going to be very, very tight. But if it does happen, Christ, imagine how big that tournament's going to be.
I think if it does happen, it then becomes like crazy.
Better get queuing at midnight.
Oh yeah. No, it will be crazy. Like I'll be out just the fresh air, walking around. But you'll never see so many people wanting to queue in all their life. The queue will be the most exciting thing ever.
People will be interacting with each other like they've never seen another human being.
Oh.
I know.
No, it'll be amazing. Like if it goes ahead, I'm sure me and you will definitely be there.
Oh,
and
sure.
I'm sure it'll be a brilliant day. But at the moment, in the current climate, the way it's going, I just don't think it's going to go ahead. Does that then mean that they're going to push that one back? And where does that fit in? Would that then be after the US Open and Roland Garros as well? Or do you reckon they're going to move US Open now after Roland Garros and then Labour Cup before in the gap where the US Open is?
Can you keep shifting them like back and forth though? It's It's just getting messy.
And then another important point, actually, I've got another question for you right now. It's another interesting debate. At the end of the year, you've got the ATP finals at the O2. And that's dependent on how well players have performed in the 1 year, in the calendar year, who's got the most points, they've accumulated the most points in the year. How are they going to be able to do that if, say, 3 or 4 months of the season's taken and the points have now been frozen? How does it work? It's been announced that the points are now being frozen due. So how are they going to be able to do that?
So they're probably just going to calculate it without those weeks on there, I guess.
I don't know. I've seen some interesting suggestions on Twitter, actually.
What's that?
Quite a good idea. I think you should open it up. Instead of having 8 players, the top 8 players, you should open it up to like a normal sort of tournament, like a 16 players, and have like the normal knockout rounds, and just open it up to more level, like rankings of players. I think for a start, you'd see it more. I think you'd see quite an exciting tournament. I think it's the fairest way to do it in this circumstances we're in now.
Yeah.
But an important question is, like, I'm not completely sure, but I don't think it's ever happened, right, where there's not a slam's been completely missed and cancelled.
Yeah, I can't. But for the life of me, I think it must have been the war. That's it.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything.
Nothing
after that
disrupted it, right? I've looked at different things before in the past, and I don't see anything. Let us know in the comments if we're wrong or anything. But for me, like, I don't think they've ever missed a slam. So if we're getting towards. Obviously, it's only March now, but the problem is we've not actually reached the peak of this epidemic. So it's only going to get worse. So it's going to get to a point where maybe like June, July time, that's half a year gone.
Yeah.
Are we then going to be able to fit, we're going to cram 3 slams in the end and then trying to fit all the other tournaments in between? I think at the end of the day, I think 2020 is completely, in terms of an ATP calendar or WTA calendar, I think it's finished. I don't think there's much more to go. I don't think there's much more what can be given, really. This year is just very unfortunate. It's going to have to be it's kind of written off.
Yeah, it's a write-off, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just so sad because especially the way Djokovic has started the year.
Goes undefeated.
I was excited to see Rafa Nadal fight back. He's playing exceptional tennis at the moment, and I think he's going to really be able to rival Novak in these tournaments, especially now moving on to clay. I think that battle would have been amazing. And then you've got the likes of the new up-and-coming players, Casper Ruud, the likes of Seyboth Wild, other clay court players, Garin. I think it would have been phenomenal this season. And I was so happy we started the podcast this year because I was thinking this is going to blow up. This is going to be amazing. What a year of tennis it's going to be. And then look what happened.
Well, it's just because we've had all of the following that we were doing last year. We were just following so many of the players that are now. We just knew we were going to break on the scene this year, and a lot of them are clay court players. And that was the season that we were just finally going to see some of those players that we've been following, tracking. The youngsters, like these Seyboth Wild, won his first ATP event in his first ask, like Alcaraz won his first ATP match, stuff like that. It was all coming to like a head. Like we're coming up to the French Open,
everything was building. It was like a big build, and there was a crescendo, and it just ended. It's just so it's so frustrating.
And then I think,
it's life. We've got to deal with it. We've just got to be positive. I feel like everyone needs to stick together in these times, and at the end of the day, I know we're going to pull through it. We're going to be stronger afterwards, and there's going to be plenty of tennis to see. But whether it's going to be played in 2020, I very much doubt. I feel like this year now is the way it's going. The thing is, we've not reached the peak, and no one really knows what's going to happen, what the next few months hold. So it's difficult to really say. I would love to still see the free slams this year, but
there's some people. For some reason, I don't know why, I keep seeing like a lot of comments like flying around the internet. So many people would be happy to see Wimbledon not played, and I'm just find this so bizarre. Like,
I'm not seeing comments like that.
Yeah, like people just like cheering, like hopefully Wimbledon doesn't get played this year. Like I don't know who are these fans of tennis that would not want to see. Well, and they probably think that we're biased just because we're British and think Wimbledon's the greatest tennis tournament, but the grass season, fair enough, it is the shortest one out of all of the seasons, but Wimbledon is sort of like the home of tennis. It's just that's where it's like the All England club where everyone has to wear their white. There's no, it's all prim and proper. It's just one of those tournaments which is just rich in history and just like tradition. I don't know why people hate on that side of things. I don't know. For me, it's just like that's the epitome of tennis. Like I think most tennis players themselves, who are like, well, men and women's, they've said they always dream in their career, like when they're little, of lifting the trophy at Wimbledon. That is their main, like that is the height of their career. Like that's what they watched on TV when they're younger. That was the epitome of being the best. And I don't know why people would be hating on like grass.
To be fair, I would have to agree with you. Like it's the tournament which brings in more numbers than anyone else all over the world. It's a special, unique tournament. Wearing the all white, the quality of tennis is always exceptional. The way it's organised, everything about Wimbledon for me is amazing. Like I love the whole spirit of it, and it would be devastating for us to lose that this year. But at the end of the day, health has to come first, and if it's not, we're not able to do it. At the end of the day, we're not able to do it. It's going to be very sad. But like people hating on the fact that cheering at Wimbledon. For me, they're not real tennis fans. I feel like if you're a real tennis fan, what you want is as many tournaments as possible. Doesn't matter if it's on hard, if it's on a carpet, if it's on a bit of marble, you want to see tennis.
Marble.
You know, like you want to see tennis. You're not someone. That's why I'm against all these people. Like they're just negative people in themselves. Like they love the fact that they just ride on anything that's going negative, and they love the fact that this is going to be cancelled and this, and it can sort of a lot of it is they've got agendas between certain players. Like this agenda about not Rafa Nadal, Federer. How he knew that there's a conspiracy theory going around that he knew the coronavirus. And that's why he's done his injury thing before. Mate, it's a load of shit.
Excuse me.
No, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. Yeah, I just don't get it. Like it's bizarre. Like that, how people can just come out with it. People are full of what you just said.
I forget we can't say that.
Well, we can say it, but I'll just bleep it out and if
it gives you something to do.
Yeah, great, extra work.
But no, on the topic of our last episode, thanks for you guys watching it. If you've not watched it already, go check it out. Yeah. But we were speaking about whether they should freeze the points.
Yes.
And it's been confirmed today that they now have frozen the points. You was against it, was you, or for it? I forget now.
I said it when I didn't think there was any point. I didn't think it was going to make much difference to the rankings, so I just thought just let it run. I don't know. I think a lot of people. Well, I think it was divided. I did a poll on Instagram, and there was split right down the middle, 50-50. So people were torn on it.
And I'd have to agree with you. I don't think it would have changed too much. The reason I say that is it's quite obvious the fact that the people who lose out the most would have been Dominic Thiem, Federer, and Nadal. Because Nadal had a few points as well he would have lost. However, if you're thinking about it, Djokovic, he didn't have many. So you could say that this is really affecting him the most because he didn't have many points. He didn't accumulate many points in this period. However, I think for me personally, it would have been better if they didn't freeze the points because Djokovic and was able to play these tournaments because Djokovic had a lot. The way he's playing at the moment, he could have potentially gone on to win Indian Wells and Miami. They're 1,000 points each. So like the way he's playing, he would have been favourite in both of them tournaments. And I would see him going to the latter stages of it. And not just that. After that, I feel like he'd pick himself up anyway for the clay court season. So to say it's benefiting anyone individually, I just don't think that's really a fair statement. So that's why I was like, there's no really point freezing it. And we was in agreement of that, wasn't we?
Yeah, I don't think there was any point freezing it. I thought like an interesting thing that a lot of people were bringing up in a lot of comments as well, a lot of comment sections I was seeing on this subject. They were saying about Novak's weeks at number one.
Ah,
And just obviously there's no tennis being played, and he's getting a few additional weeks at number one.
no, but that's not happening now.
Well,
So now
there you
since
go.
they've frozen the ATP things, that weeks like everything's frozen.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. That was one of the big things that there was a lot of Novak fans out there saying, yeah, this is good. He's getting a few extra weeks. A number he deserves them. Like he would have stayed number one anyway. So pretty
Yeah,
much.
funny enough, actually, you say that. It was also good for Nadal because he was getting in the top 2 or something. I think he was going to overtake Pete Sampras. It might have been top 10.
Yeah.
But it was going to help. It was going to benefit him as well in the statistics. But how much does that all really mean? I guess it's quite cool. It's another statistic. But the real one I look at is the Grand Slams. Who's got the most Grand Slams? Roger Federer at the moment. He's the real GOAT.
Yeah. So what? It's the real go. What do you reckon their chances would be? Let's say the big three. If we're running Grand Slams back to back like they're thinking of doing, and having the French Open played just after the US Open. Obviously, we had Rafa won the US. He won both last. No, he won both last year, didn't he?
Yeah, so he's defending 4,000 points.
Can he defend two back to back in 2 weeks?
In a matter of like 10 days? It's ridiculous. All 3 of them are getting on for a start. Fatigue's going to set in. I don't think you're able to do that level of competition in such close proximity. It's never happened before, and I don't think it's going to happen now.
Here's a question then. Do you think if that was to happen, you see some players boycott one of the tournaments to try and give the other tournament a better shot? Like maybe
100%.
So let's say Rafael Nadal enters the US Open as the reigning champion because he has to. He's like, I've got to defend my titles, and I want as many.
I think if it stays the current way it is, he's not going to put himself at any possible detriment to doing well in Roland Garros when he's got a 92% win record there or something ridiculous. I forget what it is. I think he's only lost like 2 or 3 games. He's won like over 90 games there. So he's not going to put any detriment on that thing. He is the king of clay, and what he's achieved in the sport in sport of tennis, particularly on clay, is nothing short of remarkable. Nobody's ever been able to conquer a surface like Rafael Nadal has on clay. So for him to put his favourite place in the world, Roland Garros, in Paris, at detriment of any cost, is not going to happen. He's not going to enter the US Open, which is just going to be crazy. He's the reigning champion of it, defending 4,000, 2,000 points.
He can't not enter the US Open. Come on.
Now, but this is why this debate's a bit silly, because I just don't think it's not going to happen. You're not going to see the US Open has to be pushed back.
But it might happen.
Nah, it can't, mate. It can't. Like, I'm sorry, it's too close together. And then you've got the Labour Cup there as well. I feel like these tennis bodies, the organisers of these events, WTA, ATP, top people in the board of tennis in terms of like some of the players and different councils need to get together, and they need to come to some kind of overall consensus and conclusion about what should happen. Because at the moment, it seems to be you've got this event here, you've got this player saying this, everyone's got their own opinion on things, and I feel like if there's too many chefs in the kitchen, someone's gonna burn something.
Is that the saying?
No, it's not too many chefs in the kitchen. Forget it now.
So, isn't it too many chefs spoil the broth or something? I don't know. Something like that.
I like my one better than mate.
Too many chefs in the kitchen, someone's gonna get burned.
No, someone's gonna burn something.
It's true though. Yeah, you can't have too many people.
No, you can't get too many people prodding their own ideas in. I think we need to have like one general consensus of what's happening.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, so well, we'll wait and see how that one plays out over the coming weeks.
Secretly, though, at the end of the day, these top 3, there's no one like these are the 3 in contention for the GOAT, right?
Yeah.
There's no. You can look at older players like I don't know, Andre Agassi, Pete Sampras, Boris Becker. For me personally, maybe it's biased because it's the only players I've really seen in my time. But I feel like them 3 are the top 3.
Yeah, I mean, I used to love. Well, Sampras was He was an incredible player. Obviously, he had 7 Wimbledon titles himself. He was just one of those sort of enigmatic players on the court. Really exciting player to watch. Had the Sampras smash that we were so famous for as well. Had the hairy chest as well, mate. I used to take the top off in between sets.
Yeah,
I used to give everybody a flash, mate. This is always a bit funny.
Oh, McEnroe as well. Done it.
Mac, yeah, mate, you can't forget Maccas. He's legend. So yeah, I mean, there's so many people. You obviously got Bjorn Borg. You've got Ivan Lendl as well.
No, there's been loads of incredible players and people to like. You could have a claim to be in the GOAT, but for me, the top 3, funny enough, all playing right now. But that's just my opinion on it. Let us know your thoughts in the comments.
I think it's the main reason. Just that's the argument is just because tennis has all sports evolve and. With sports evolving, you expect to see the new breed coming out and them getting better and better, and they are. And you've seen the new breed coming out, and these guys up their level again and again and again, and that's how good those 3 players are. Is they keep getting better, and people can't get past them, which is just crazy.
Brilliantly worded, Ben. Literally, I couldn't have worded it any better myself. That's exactly how it plays out for me as well. It's like very similar to football. Like if you look at the likes of Pele and Maradona, comparing them to Ronaldo, Messi, it's a different generation. Everything's got tougher. Like the defending, games evolved to say, and it's like it's difficult to compare different eras. But ultimately, it's still great in its own right. Like I'm not taking anything from what they did, or it's amazing, it's incredible, and they're going to always be legends of the game. But for me, top 3 are the ones playing right now: Novak, Federer, Nadal. And it's interesting actually because they're both getting on now. You've got 20, 19, 17 in Grand Slams. This is benefiting Federer quite a bit, right? This whole outbreak.
Well, especially because he's injured as well. It's benefiting him for that, and because the other players, they were in hot form, and now they've had to have a long break.
Now they've frozen the thing as well.
Yeah, well, I think the other players being in such good form and then to just cut them off like that with no tennis now. Obviously, they're probably still practicing, but it's not like match practice, is it? There's nothing substitutes for Grand Slam tennis or playing competitive tennis against other players. So if we wait and see if they might come back, and then Djokovic might not be in the same form as he was at the beginning of the year. You don't know, and then you're going to see a real uproar from all the Djokovic fans coming out, and I'm sure all the Fed-tards will be there as well.
Shout out Stimpy. But yeah, like you say, it's never happened before. Like we've never seen a big break in the middle of the season, so it's going to be interesting to see how all the players come back from it. Like, are they still training? It's very difficult to really do much at the moment. Like a lot of them are just sitting at home in isolation, social distancing, keeping themselves to themselves.
Just hoping Jack Sock doesn't go back to the potato chips and beer diet.
No. Funny enough to him, he's been tweeting Labour Cup today.
Oh, that's good.
He's been wanting. He wants to. For some reason, he thinks he's going to be getting in the Labour Cup team, but fair enough.
Well, he's been playing well recently, so if he keeps it, that's another sad thing.
So what is it like? The top 8 players in USA?
It's going to be interesting to see how they come back. You never know. It could be Federer's now fresh back from after he's got like a new bionic leg or something that he's running around on, and he's just going to come back and steamroll everyone. He might take the US. Well, yeah, he might take the US Open. You never know. He loves a bit of a hard.
But will he play? He'll play the US Open, but he's not going to enter the Roland Garros, is he? If Labour Cup's there.
Nah, he would just
the Labour Cup team. And back talking about Sock, he's not going to be getting into that little category.
Who else do the US have in their team other than Jack Sock? Because we got.
It's not just US though, is it? It's rest of the world.
Oh, is it rest? Okay.
Yeah, so you're going to have obviously Kyrgios, Alex de Minaur. You're not. I'm sorry, but Sock doesn't get into that bracket. Even like the next Thompson. There's loads of players who come before him.
Unless they're all entering the French Open, and he has
Felix, Shapovalov.
Yeah, they've all been the French Open, mate. That's probably why he thinks he's got a better chance.
Yeah, that's why he did it, I think. Might see Duck Lee have an appearance.
Oh, Ducky Lee, mate.
But yeah.
Ducky. He's a favourite of what's his face? Ben Rothenberg.
Oh yeah, he likes him.
That's a bit of ducky.
No, but guys, just let us know in the comments what you think about the Labour Cup, the scheduling, who's going to play in what. Is it going to happen as it is? For me personally, I don't think it's going to happen. I'm sure you probably agree. Even though you'd love all to see all 3 slams all back to back. I know what you're like. You'd love to see that, but it's just looking the way it is. It can't happen. So let us know in the comments. Also, just send in some fan questions about things you want us to talk about, your thoughts on this episode, previous episodes. I'm sure we'll answer it. We've got nothing else to do, so.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Just tell us if there's anything, any improvements that you want us to add to the podcast as well. We can always looking to keep improving.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
there's a lot of people watching out there, probably you right now watching it, who have not subscribed. So make sure you subscribe and not just watch it, because that's brilliant. We have I looked at the statistics the other day. It's quite surprising. I think it's 90-something% of the people who watch don't even subscribe. So
yeah.
At least they're watching. Thanks for watching.
And if you've made it this far in the video as well, thanks for making it this far in the video. And then if you have, definitely subscribe. Hit that subscribe button.
To all 5 of you who made it this far, honestly, hats off. Just don't know how you do it.
No, we appreciate it. But hopefully we'll come back next week with some fresh content, some fresh news, and some fresh sound. If we can get some
if we get some mics sorted out, that'd be cool. But at the end of the day, we've got no tennis now till June the 7th. That's official. I guess that's it. We've got not much more to say in this podcast, so you got anything to say?
Over and out.
Over and out. Peace.